civil war in Syria has started in 2011, so it's over a decade. And these Syrian refugees, according to many Turks, has failed to integrate with Turkish society. They are also in these times of economic crisis, they became kind of a scapegoats.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Furnival. You are watching or listening to an OSW interview. Today I'm talking to Zuzana Krzyżanowska, an expert from OSW's Turkey department. We'll be discussing Turkish society. Hi, Zuzana.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. We're going to discuss Turkish society, but before we begin, just a little about Turkey, because it's a very well-known country, but perhaps still a little mysterious because it's between two worlds, West and East. Is Turkey a big country, a small country, a rich country, a poor country? Is it very powerful?
Okay, Turkey wants to show itself as a very powerful country. Its population is certainly huge. It's about 80 million people right now. As you said, it's placed between West and East, between Europe and Asia. But it is also kind of a cliche, which we will also discuss later in this podcast, I hope. I'm not sure if Turkey is a rich country. I mean, Turkey is among top 20 world economies, but I would say that its society still remains quite unequal.
How unequal is the economy? Is there too many rich people, too many people below the poverty line?
Well, if we think about the Gini coefficient, which is a tool to show us how unequal the society is, Turkey may be placed somewhere between Bulgaria and Mexico within the OECD countries, so it can give us some image of that. I would say that some of this social contrasts in Turkey are striking. Like, I remember when I was living in Turkey, there was a shopping mall, and it was placed right next to the big slums in the city center. So this is the first thing which comes to my mind when I think about Turkish inequalities.
And this is somehow acceptable. So,
although we have to admit that in the recent 20 years, this Turkish standard of living has significantly increased.
Do you have any specific figures on this?
Yes, we can use life expectancy as an illustration. Like in the recent 20 years, it has grown from 72.6 to almost 78. So it is a huge growth. Also, Turkish society is much better educated than in the previous years. Almost 1 in 4 Turkish citizens has higher education right now.
So life expectancy is increasing. The population is growing. The main engine of this is probably not more old people in the country, though. I believe that Turkey is rather a young population.
Yes, it is. It is.
Are these young people happy with the current situation in the country? Are they happy with perhaps not so young president?
Well, that's a good question. Turkish society is definitely young, and it's also very much urbanized, which means that most of people in Turkey right now live in big cities, especially in Istanbul, which is almost like 20 million people.
Are young people particularly hit by the economic crisis in Turkey at the moment?
Yes, they are, because young people are starting their job lives, and even if they have this higher education, which, as I said before, is right now quite popular in Turkey, they still struggle to find job, and they still struggle to find a well-paid job, because according to some data, even 40% of Turkish workforce gain minimum wage. And this minimum wage, as some recent data is showing, equals almost the poverty line. So you can imagine working for that money, especially when you start your work life. So I would say that young people in Turkey feel kind of desperate, and they don't see their future right now. And this is what is causing the brain drain right now in Turkey. I personally have some of my friends who don't see their future in Turkey, and they're just leaving the country for, let's say, Europe or Canada.
And is it quite easy for Turks to emigrate?
Well, actually, it's not because they don't have this. To move to the European Union, Turks still need to get a Schengen visa. So, and it's also not that easy to get it because all of the consulates are right now stuck.
Would you say the outlook is generally pessimistic then?
In young people, yes, I would say it is. That's the impression I have from Turkey right now.
Okay, thank you. We could move on to more strictly social issues now. Is there anything in general we can say about Turkey? Are they all ethnic Turks? Are they all very religious or very secular? Or is it very, very much detail that we have to learn about this country?
Of course, it's very much detail. It's not easy to say anything in general about any society. I would say Turkey is very rapidly changing right now because for the first time in the history of modern Republic of Turkey, Turkey has increasing Arab population. Turkey has never been Turkey has never been a homogeneous country. It also had large Kurdish population, but right now, due to a huge influx of Syrian refugees in country, Turkey is becoming very much vibrant in this case, and this is also causing some kind of public sentiments against the Syrian refugees right now.
It's worth mentioning that we look at the Muslim world, but the Arabs and the Turks are quite different people. How well are they integrating?
So Turks are not Arabs, and I hope that our audience also knows that. But
they do know.
I hope they know. I would say that AKP government has failed to deliver the strategy to integrate that Syrian population right now. Civil war in Syria has started in 2011, so it's over a decade, and these Syrian refugees, according to many Turks, has failed to integrate with Turkish society. They are also in these times of economic crisis, they became kind of scapegoats because they are also blamed of criminal behavior, overusing the social benefit system. So that's why they are kind of blamed for everything which goes wrong in Turkey right now, which also is a reason for the far right and nationalists growing in Turkey right now.
And how strong is the far right and nationalists in Turkey?
So the nationalism in Turkey has always been very strong because the nationalism is also a part of the Turkish identity from the very beginning of the Turkish Republic. This is we have to note. So the nationalists are present both in the government and both in the opposition. But in the last few years, there's some kind of new, I would even say, alternative right nationalism has become popular in Turkey. It is usually spread in social media, usually with using this anti-Arab sentiment.
This might be a good time to ask you that you said this idea of Turkey being between the East and the West is a cliche. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, I would say it is a cliche because for me, personally, Turkey is the West and the East at the same time.
It's more complicated.
What I'm trying to say is that it's more complicated because even if Turks are kind of... this anti-Western worldview is still very popular in Turkey, but at the same time, Turkey is still part of the NATO and Turks are still aspiring to the EU. And for them, this European standard of living is still something that they are aspiring to. But at the same time, Turkey is still a Muslim country, even if it's secular comparing to other Muslim countries. And recent data is showing us that Turkey is becoming more and more secular. In fact, even if AKP government has promised to raise a pious generation, recent data is showing that it actually didn't work. So, and the young Turks are not practicing religion that much.
Hmm. Do we know the reason for this? Is it the Western influence?
We have to keep in mind that in recent years, Turkish society has been moving from small towns and villages to the big cities, like Istanbul and Ankara. And with that population moving from the small towns and villages to the big cities, they are kind of losing their bond with the previous more village life, I would say. And also, at the same time, the westernization towards social media, television, stuff like this.
Okay. Does this lead to any, I don't know, intergenerational clashes or between the cities and the provinces?
Well, we don't. I'm not sure if we see generational clash right now in Turkey. The most popular way to kind of divide Turkish society is to divide them into conservative, Muslim, and more secular Kemalist. But I would say it is also kind of oversimplification. Turkish society is definitely much more complex, and we should not forget about Kurds, let's say, who are also kind of divide between themselves.
Okay. There is a substance which binds the country together, though. You would claim it's nationalism. So the flag keeps Turkey
Together.
a state.
Turks really believe that they deserve to be a very strong country who is well respected in the world.
And over the last 20 years, this society has been in large part shaped by President Erdoğan. He's not going to be around forever. I believe he's even mentioned that this will be his last term in power. What happens after Erdoğan?
That's a big question because it's very hard to imagine Turkey without President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan right now, because he's been ruling this country since 20 years, first as prime minister, then as a president. I don't have much faith in Turkish opposition right now because they seem to be in very huge crisis after they failed the last election in May 2023. I would say that the most possible prospect of power transition in Turkey right now is through the resignation of President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. He promised that his third term as a president would be his last term. I'm not sure if he will stick to that, to be honest. So right now we can talk about two possible successors of Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. And the first one is Selçuk Bayraktar, who is his nephew, and also he's the CEO of a Baykar company, which produces well-known Bayraktar drones. And the second one is Hakan Fidan, who is a Turkish Minister of Foreign Affairs right now. And he's well known for representing the Turkey internationally.
Okay. I would like to say watch this space, but there's definitely a few years left of President Erdoğan.
Yeah, so the next election will take place in 2028. So that's a long time to go, I would say. Many things can happen within these 4 years. Right now, I would say we should keep in mind that there will be local elections happening. I think we should keep an eye on local elections because in Istanbul there is Ekrem İmamoğlu, the Istanbul mayor, who is fighting for the re-election right now. And he was by the Turkish opposition. He's believed to be the most potential candidate for the presidential election in 2028. But first, he has to win Istanbul once again.
And in order for İmamoğlu to be re-elected, he needs to convince voters that he's the man to solve the problems. What are the main problems in Istanbul at the moment?
So the main problems in Istanbul are definitely increasing cost of living because Turkey is undergoing the long-term financial crisis right now, and it's affecting the standard of living in every possible way, especially the higher inflation, which is around 60% yearly right now. Also, it's not a thing that the local government can solve. It's actually the role of the central government. But the way it affects people is right now very important in Turkey.
Okay. Zuzanna, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this discussion, why don't you watch our recent video on Turkey's foreign policy? It's available on screen now.